And put the laptop down.
It's down. What do you want?
Battery on the barista, the thrown cup, the trespass after you were asked to leave. We have one.
This is Lindsay Marchetti, a 47-year-old lifestyle influencer who just threw a venti latte at a barista on her own live stream. In the next 4 minutes, she's going to be carried out of this Starbucks by her arms and ankles, while she screams on camera that she is being kidnapped.
Show me the warrant. Where is the warrant? Let me see.
You've had 6 verbal warnings.
That doesn't mean anything. You cannot just decide to unbind.
11,700 live viewers, 90 seconds of recorded intent, a barista with a welt blooming across her sternum, espresso bleeding into the floor mat, and a woman at a corner table refusing to close her laptop. By the end of this morning, Lindsay Marchetti would be facing 4 separate charges, banned for life from every Starbucks in Orange County, and watching her own meltdown replayed on local news that did not have to do a single second of investigative work, because she had filmed the whole thing herself, and she had uploaded it before the officers ever arrived. Before we go any further, have you ever watched someone publicly destroy their own life in real time and thought they are going to regret pressing record? Tell me in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. We track these accountability cases every single week, and the receipts only ever get worse. Lindsay Denise Marchetti was born on March 11, 1977, in Inglewood, California. Her mother, Charlene, worked the night shift at the Inglewood Post Office sorting facility off La Cienega Boulevard, and her father, a long-haul trucker named Dwight Marchetti, was on the road more than he was home, and was permanently out of the picture by the time Lindsay was 9. Charlene raised Lindsay and her younger brother Marcus in a 2-bedroom rental on West 80th Street, working 12-hour shifts and sleeping during the day with blackout curtains taped to the windows. Lindsay grew up making her own breakfast, walking herself to school, and learning very early how to ask for things in a way that made adults listen. She was, by every available measure, a sharp child. Teachers at Morningside High School in Inglewood remembered her as articulate, opinionated, and impossible to talk past in class discussions. Her senior yearbook quote was a Maya Angelou line about not being made for crying. She graduated in 1995 with a 3.6 GPA and a partial scholarship to Cal State Long Beach, where she enrolled that fall as a communications major. College is where the foundation that would later collapse beneath her was first poured. Lindsay worked 30 hours a week at a Macy's at the Lakewood Center Mall while carrying a full course load. She wrote for the campus paper. She interned one summer at a small public radio affiliate in Long Beach, recording man-on-the-street interviews for a community programming block. Her professors described her in evaluations as extraordinarily verbal, natural on mic, and, in one note that would prove to be more prophetic than complimentary, allergic to being told no. She graduated in 1999 with a bachelor's in communications and almost immediately took a job as a marketing assistant at a small advertising firm in Torrance called Crestmark Creative. She married a man named Andre Whitford in March 2003 at a small ceremony in Cerritos. Their daughter, Ayana, was born in November of the same year. The marriage lasted just under 5 years. Andre moved back to Atlanta in 2008. Lindsay kept the daughter, the apartment in Cyprus, and a settled-in resentment that never quite went anywhere. By 2010, Lindsay was 33, a single mother working in the marketing department of a regional auto parts chain, and increasingly convinced that she was meant for something larger than the cubicle she sat in 5 days a week. That September, she registered the domain lindsaysays.com and began publishing restaurant reviews, retail experience write-ups, and occasional rants about customer service at chain businesses across Orange and Los Angeles counties. The blog drew a modest readership. Within 2 years, it was drawing brand attention. The pivot that changed her life came in August 2014, when she filmed her first customer service report card video, a YouTube format in which she walked into a chain restaurant, ordered a meal, and narrated a running review of the speed, accuracy, and friendliness of the staff to a small handheld camera. Her early videos were calm, observational, and at times genuinely useful. By 2018, the channel had 83,000 subscribers and a small but loyal audience of consumers who believed Lindsay was advocating for them. It was the move to TikTok in the spring of 2020, in the early weeks of the pandemic shutdown, that turned a side project into an identity. The platform's algorithm rewarded conflict. Calm reviews did not perform. Confrontations did. And Lindsay, who had been told her entire life that she was sharp, opinionated, and good on a microphone, discovered that she could grow her following exponentially faster by walking into a business looking for a fight than she ever could by simply documenting one when it happened. By the spring of 2024, Lindsay Marchetti had 340,000 followers on TikTok, 95,000 on Instagram, and active partnerships with 2 skincare lines, a meal kit subscription service, and a teeth whitening kit that she promoted under the disclosure tag #LindsaySaysPartner. She lived alone in a leased 2-bedroom condo in Anaheim Hills. She drove a Lexus RX 350 with vanity plates that read SAYSO. Her daughter, Ayana, was 20, in her second year of nursing school at Cal State Fullerton, and had quietly stopped appearing in her mother's videos 2 years earlier, after a comment section called her the only normal one in that house. To her followers, Lindsay was a watchdog. To the businesses she walked into with her camera already rolling, she was something else entirely. And to the barista standing behind the counter at a strip mall, Starbucks on Imperial Highway at 7:14 in the morning on a Tuesday in October, she was about to become the worst customer of an 11-year career. To understand what happened that morning, you have to understand the 2 systems that collided in the Starbucks lobby, and the gap between them where Lindsay Marchetti believed she could live forever. The first system is the one Starbucks itself trains its baristas to operate inside. The chain has been refining its customer recovery protocols for more than 2 decades. New hires complete a 4-week onboarding that explicitly walks them through what is internally called the latte method. Listen, acknowledge, take action, thank, explain. Drinks are remade on demand, no questions asked. The standard escalation script, posted on the inside of every backroom locker, instructs baristas to remake any beverage up to 3 times before involving a shift supervisor. Confrontation is to be avoided. Refunds are to be issued without argument. The third place philosophy, the idea that a Starbucks should function as a casual living room between work and home, is treated less as a marketing slogan than as a behavioral mandate. Baristas are trained, in essence, to absorb the customer's unhappiness, no matter where it comes from. The barista on the espresso bar that morning was named Maya Trujillo. She was 23, a senior at Cal State Fullerton studying child development, and had worked at the Imperial Highway location for 14 months. Coworkers described her in later statements as unfailingly polite, the one you wanted on bar when it got busy, and the kind of person who remembered regulars' drinks without being asked. She was also 5'2", 115 pounds, and standing roughly 36 inches from the customer side of the counter when the venti hit her. The second system is the one Lindsay Marchetti had been operating inside for 14 years. It is the system of platform-incentivized confrontation, the algorithmic feedback loop that rewards content creators not for being right, not for being useful, and not even for being entertaining, but for generating engagement. And on a platform like TikTok, engagement does not care whether you are loved or hated. It only cares whether you are watched. By 2024, Lindsay had become a connoisseur of that system's pressure points. She knew that a video of a calm interaction would average 3,000 views, while a video of a confrontation would average 90,000. She knew that the longer a confrontation ran, the better it performed. She knew that the moment she could provoke a service worker into raising their voice, the clip would travel across Twitter, Reddit, and 3 or 4 reaction channels by sundown. She had built a career on the spread between civility and outrage. What she had not yet learned, what almost nobody who builds that kind of career learns until the moment it ends, was that the same algorithm that rewards your escalations does not also intervene to protect you from them. A platform that paid her, on average, $1,100 per viral upload could not also call off the police she would phone into existence by refusing to leave a Starbucks. It could only watch, And that morning, 11,700 people did. The escalation pattern that ended in a Starbucks lobby on October 8, 2024, did not begin that morning. It began by Lindsay's own archived upload history in late February of 2022, and it had been growing more theatrical every month since. The first video that genuinely went viral on her TikTok account was uploaded on February 24, 2022. It was titled, in all capital letters, "Watch What This Manager Said to Me," and it depicted Lindsay confronting an Olive Garden assistant manager in Buena Park about a 16-minute wait for a table she had not made a reservation for. The video was edited. The wait time was misrepresented. The manager, a 31-year-old man named Eduardo Reyes, was shown only in the moments after Lindsay had been filming him for 8 minutes without his knowledge, finally raising his voice and asking her to leave. The clip pulled 4.1 million views in 72 hours. Eduardo Reyes was suspended for 2 weeks pending a corporate review, then quietly transferred to a different location. He never spoke publicly about the incident. He did not need to. The internet had already decided. Lindsay's follower count tripled in a month. From that point forward, the pattern was repeatable. She would walk into a chain business, a Chili's, a Bath and Body Works, a Trader Joe's, a Sprint store, with her phone propped in a small magnetic mount on her purse strap, recording continuously. She would order something, request a modification, and then begin testing the staff. If the request was met without resistance, the footage was deleted. If the staff member showed any hesitation, any sigh, any visible irritation, the footage was kept, edited, captioned, and uploaded under titles like, "This is why I don't shop here anymore," "You won't believe what she said to me," and "Watch me get a manager fired in real time." By the spring of 2024, this had stopped being a side venture and had become her primary income. Brand partnership disclosures filed with the FTC's voluntary registry showed Lindsay earning between $14,000 and $18,000 a month from sponsored uploads alone. Her Patreon, where supporters paid $9 a month for unedited footage and the conversations they don't want you to see, had 840 paying subscribers. She had, in every meaningful sense, monetized her own short fuse. The morning of October 8, 2024, began the way every morning that year had begun. Lindsay woke at 5:45. She filmed a morning routine segment in her bathroom mirror at 6:05. She drank her own brand-partnered protein shake on camera at 6:20. At 6:52, she got into the Lexus, propped her phone in the dashboard mount, and drove the 4 miles from her condo in Anaheim Hills to the Starbucks at 4920 East Imperial Highway, narrating to a small live audience the entire way. The live stream's archived chat, recovered later by investigators with a subpoena to the platform, shows that even before she pulled into the parking lot, Lindsay had told her viewers what kind of morning she intended to have. At 6:58, she said, "On camera, I'm in a mood today, y'all. Somebody's about to learn." At 7:04, parked outside the strip mall, she said, "They mess up my drink one time. They're getting the full Lindsay." At 7:09, walking through the parking lot toward the entrance, she said, and this is verbatim from the recovered file, "Watch me destroy this barista's career." She said it 90 seconds before she opened the door. She ordered a venti caramel macchiato at 7:14, holding her phone at chest height, the camera framed across the counter on Maya Trujillo's face. The drink was made. Lindsay tasted it, made a face for the camera, and said it was not hot enough. Maya remade it. Lindsay tasted it again and said it was still not hot enough. Maya remade it. The third remake came back with the espresso shots pulled at 192 degrees, the upper limit of what the machine would produce without scalding the milk. Lindsay tasted it, looked into the camera, and said the words "not hot, hot enough," a phrase she would repeat 4 more times over the next 11 minutes. Maya remade the drink a 4th time. When the 5th cup was set on the handoff plane at 7:25, Lindsay picked it up, held it for 2 full seconds, looked directly into her phone's camera, and threw it. The cup hit Maya square in the sternum from a distance of just under 3 feet. The lid popped off on impact. 204 milliliters of 190-degree espresso and steamed milk soaked through her green apron and the white t-shirt beneath it. Maya screamed once, stepped backward into the espresso machine, and grabbed the edge of the counter to keep from going to the floor. The live stream was still running. The chat, in that moment, exploded, not in support, but in horror. The viewer count, which had been climbing all morning, jumped from 4,200 to over 11,000 in the next 90 seconds. Lindsay smiled at the camera. She had no idea what was about to happen to her. The manager on duty that morning was named Priya Chandra. She was 36, a Starbucks employee of 9 years, and had been promoted to store manager of the Imperial Highway location 18 months earlier. She was in the back room reviewing the morning's truck delivery when she heard Maya scream. By the time she reached the front of the store, Maya was at the sink, running cold water over her chest with one hand and crying with the other. The front of her apron stained dark, and a 47-year-old woman was sitting at a corner table with a laptop open and a phone propped against a sugar shaker. Priya did 3 things, in order, in the next 40 seconds. First, she walked Maya to the back, sat her on a stool, and called the second shift supervisor to come in early. Second, she returned to the floor, walked directly to Lindsay's table, and asked her to leave the store. And third, when Lindsay responded, and this is on the recovered live stream, in Lindsay's own voice, "I'll leave when I'm done with my emails," Priya picked up the store phone, walked back to the office, and dialed the non-emergency line for the Orange County Sheriff's Department. The call was logged at 7:27 a.m. The dispatcher who took it later described it in a written statement as one of the calmest calls I have ever taken from a manager who had just watched her employee get assaulted. Priya gave the address, the suspect description, and the words "she's still in the store, she will not leave, and we have it all on camera." 2 deputies were dispatched at 7:29. Their unit, a Ford Explorer marked Orange County Sheriff's Department, pulled into the strip mall parking lot at 7:38 a.m., 9 minutes after the call. By that point, the live audience watching Lindsay's stream had passed 12,000. The chat, scrolling too fast to read, was almost uniformly telling her to leave. She did not leave. The 2 responding deputies were Sergeant Daniel Okafor, a 14-year veteran of the department, and Deputy Christine Vargas, who had been on the job for 3 years. They were both wearing standard-issue Axon Body 3 cameras, both activated upon exiting the vehicle. The footage from those 2 cameras would, within 48 hours, become the second most viewed body-worn camera release in the history of the Orange County Sheriff's Department's Public Information Channel. Sergeant Okafor entered the store first. He spoke to Priya for 40 seconds at the counter, took a brief statement from Maya in the back, and confirmed that the woman at the corner table was the woman who had thrown the cup. Then he walked to the corner table, removed his hat, set it on a chair, and said the first words that would appear on his body cam audio. "Ma'am, the manager has asked you to leave. I'm asking you the same thing now. Please gather your things and step outside with me." Lindsay did not look up from her laptop. She did, however, raise her phone slightly so that the camera was now framed on the sergeant's face. "I'm live streaming this," she said. "That's fine," Sergeant Okafor said. "You're still going to need to leave." It was, by his own later testimony, the calmest moment of the encounter. Everything after it got worse. In the strictest legal sense, the case did not require an investigation. It required only a chain of custody. Lindsay Marchetti had filmed her own premeditation, her own assault, her own refusal to leave, and her own removal, and she had done it all on a public-facing platform with 11,700 witnesses watching live. But what made the case remarkable, and what made the eventual sentencing harsher than a misdemeanor battery would normally produce, was the additional evidence that Orange County prosecutors quietly gathered in the 72 hours after her arrest. The first piece was the live stream archive itself. Within 2 hours of Lindsay's removal from the store, the Orange County District Attorney's Office had served a preservation letter on the platform, freezing the recording before Lindsay's lawyer could file a takedown. The recovered file ran 1 hour and 41 minutes from start to forced disconnect and was time-stamped, geotagged, and unedited. It captured every word she said, in order, including the line that would become the headline of every news write-up of the case. "Watch me destroy this barista's career." Spoken at 7:09 a.m. from the parking lot, 90 seconds before the assault. The second piece was Maya Trujillo's medical record. She had been treated at Anaheim Regional Medical Center later that morning for a second-degree burn covering an area roughly 4 inches by 6 inches across her sternum, plus a contusion consistent with the impact of a 16-ounce projectile. She had been prescribed silver sulfadiazine cream, told to stay out of work for a minimum of 7 days, and given a referral to a counselor for what the attending physician described in his notes as acute trauma response, including visible distress when discussing return to work. She did not return to that location. She did not, in fact, return to the chain. The third piece was the pattern. Investigators with the DA's office subpoenaed Lindsay's TikTok upload history and identified 147 prior videos in which she filmed confrontations with service workers across Orange and Los Angeles counties. Of those, 14 had resulted in formal complaints filed with the businesses involved. 3 had resulted in employees being suspended. 1, the Olive Garden assistant manager, Eduardo Reyes, in February 2022, had resulted in an employee leaving the company entirely after the harassment from her followers became unmanageable. Eduardo provided a sworn statement to the DA's office on October 14th. It became part of the sentencing record. The fourth piece was a series of direct messages recovered from Lindsay's Instagram account between herself and a man named Trent Oval, who managed 3 of her brand partnerships. The messages, dated between September 14th and October 7th, included the following exchange, which prosecutors would later quote in their sentencing memorandum. Trent, on September 28th, "We need a banger this month. Brand wants something that's gonna pop off." Lindsay, same day, "On it." Trent, on October 5th, "How's it looking?" Lindsay, same day, Tuesday morning, "Caramel macchiato content. Trust me." Trent, on October 7th, "Don't get arrested, LOL." Lindsay, same day, "No promises." The DA filed those messages alongside the live stream as Exhibit 4 to the criminal complaint. The defense did not challenge their authenticity. There was nothing to challenge. At 7:39 a.m., Sergeant Okafor gave the first of what would eventually be 6 verbal warnings. The body cam timestamps for each warning were preserved as part of the criminal complaint. They appear in the record as follows. Warning 1, 7:39 and 42 seconds. "Ma'am, you need to leave the property." Warning 2, 7:41 and 11 seconds. "You are now trespassing. The manager has asked you to leave. I am asking you to leave." Warning 3, 7:43 and 28 seconds. "I need to see ID, ma'am. I need your name." Lindsay's response on Deputy Vargas's body cam audio. "I don't have to give you anything. I know my rights. I'm streaming this. Everyone is watching you right now." Warning 4, 7:46 and 4 seconds. "Ma'am, this is your 4th warning. If you do not stand up, I'm going to have to remove you." Warning 5, 7:48 and 19 seconds. Warning 6, 7:51 and 2 seconds. At 7:51 and 47 seconds, Sergeant Okafor reached for Lindsay's left arm. She immediately collapsed sideways out of the chair, going completely limp, and began screaming the same sentence on a loop, projected directly toward the phone propped on the table. "I am being kidnapped. I am being kidnapped. They are kidnapping me." Deputy Vargas picked up the phone, set it gently on the next table over so it was still recording, and helped Sergeant Okafor lift Lindsay by her arms while a second pair of deputies, who had arrived as backup at 7:46, took her ankles. The 4 of them carried her, limp, screaming, but otherwise uninjured, across the lobby, through the front doors, and to the rear of the marked unit, while customers in the drive-through line filmed it all on their own phones. Her last words on her own live stream, before Deputy Vargas paused the recording at her request once Lindsay was in the back seat, were these. I want every one of your names. I want every one of your badge numbers. I will sue every single one of you. You will never work again. She had threatened the wrong people. They handed her business cards through the window of the unit and drove her to the Orange County Central Men's Jail Intake Annex without saying another word. If you're still with me, do me one favor. Leave a comment letting me know where you're watching from, and hit subscribe if you haven't. The next part of this case is the part she really did not see coming. Lindsay Marchetti was booked at 7:58 a.m. on October 8, 2024, on suspicion of misdemeanor battery, trespass, resisting an officer without violence, and disorderly conduct. She was held overnight on a $1,000 bond, posted bail at 1:14 the next afternoon, and walked out of the intake annex into a parking lot already half full of local news cameras. She did not give a statement. Her attorney, a Newport Beach defense lawyer named Mark Greisinger, did the talking. He said his client had been provoked, that the encounter had been mischaracterized by selective edits, and that the full footage would clear her. He had not yet seen the full footage. By the next morning, he had. The case was assigned to Deputy District Attorney Helena Park, a 9-year veteran of the Orange County DA's Misdemeanor Division. She declined Lindsay's first plea offer, diversion, restitution, and a public apology, within 48 hours. The DA's office, citing the live-streamed premeditation, the documented pattern of 147 prior confrontations, and the severity of Maya Trujillo's burns, took the unusual step of releasing the body cam footage to the public on October 11th. The release was accompanied by a single-paragraph press statement noting that the office had no interest in negotiating a sentence that does not reflect the deliberate and recorded nature of the conduct involved. The footage drew 31 million views across platforms in the first week. Lindsay's TikTok account was permanently suspended on October 13th for terms of service violations, taking 340,000 followers and her primary income stream with it. Her brand partners, all 4 of them, terminated their contracts in writing within 72 hours of the body cam release. 2 of them quoted morality clauses. 1 quoted fundamental misalignment with brand values. The 4th simply said, in an emailed letter that her attorney filed as part of a later civil claim, "We would like our product samples returned by the end of the week." She entered a plea of guilty to misdemeanor battery and misdemeanor trespass on December 9, 2024, at the North Justice Center in Fullerton. The remaining charges of resisting and disorderly conduct were dismissed under the plea agreement. Sentencing was held on January 17, 2025, before Superior Court Judge Marisol Esquivel. Maya Trujillo gave a victim impact statement. She had brought handwritten notes. She did not look at Lindsay while she read them. The transcript of the relevant portion reads, in part, "I have worked at Starbucks since I was 19 years old. I have been yelled at. I have been cursed at. I have had drinks pushed back across the counter, and I have had grown men call me names I will not repeat in this courtroom. I have never, in 14 months at that store, or 4 years at the company, had a customer hit me with anything. I have a scar on my chest that my doctor says will fade in 18 months and may not fade entirely. I do not work at that store anymore. I do not work for that company anymore. I do not order coffee anymore. I would like the court to understand that I am 23 years old, and a woman I had never met before that morning has changed the way I move through the world." Judge Esquivel addressed Lindsay directly before pronouncing sentence. The transcript reads as follows. "Ms. Marchetti, I have presided over this division of this courthouse for 11 years. I have sentenced people for assaults committed in moments of rage, in moments of fear, and in moments of intoxication. I have very rarely sentenced anyone for an assault committed for content. You did not lose your temper at that counter. You arrived at that counter with your camera already running and a stated intention to, in your own words, destroy the career of a young woman whose name you did not know. The court takes the position that conduct of that kind, premeditated and broadcast for personal financial gain, sits at the highest end of the sentencing range available for the offenses to which you have pled. The sentence was 30 days in Orange County Jail, 52 weeks of court-ordered anger management, $2,400 in restitution to Maya Trujillo for medical bills and lost wages, 3 years of formal probation, and a lifetime ban entered as a condition of probation from every Starbucks location in Orange County, California. Lindsay served her 30 days at the Theo Lacey facility in Orange. She was released on February 16, 2025. By that point, her TikTok was gone, her Instagram had been suspended, her Patreon had refunded its 800 subscribers, and her condo in Anaheim Hills had a 30-day notice on the door for non-payment of October, November, December, and January rent. She moved back in with her mother, Charlene, in the same 2-bedroom rental on West 80th Street in Inglewood that she had grown up in. Maya Trujillo finished her degree at Cal State Fullerton in May. She does not drink coffee anymore. She does not work in customer service anymore. She is, at the time of this episode, completing a teaching credential. She has not seen Lindsay Marchetti since the morning she was carried out of the lobby by 4 deputies, while a woman on the floor screamed that she was being kidnapped into a phone that had been recording from the moment she walked through the door. This case was something else entirely. But this case on the right-hand side might be the most outrageous public meltdown we have ever covered. Click it now.